All right, time now for our next up segment. This is where we highlight the entrepreneurs, the founders out there who are really moving the needle for our economy, our markets, and our technology. We talk a lot on this show about the innovative ways companies are making fashion more sustainable. More than 24 billion shoes are made every year, yet 1 in 5 go straight to the landfill. That's why Portland-based startup HILOS'S combines the process of 3D printing with the art of creating footwear. Joining us now to talk about it is one of the co-founders of that company, HILOS'S. He's also the CEO of HILOS'S. Great to have you here on the program. There are sort of two components to this that I find fascinating. One is the idea of sort of getting what is effectively custom shoe wear, but also getting footwear that is sustainable by the very nature of what it does. What was the impetus behind the idea? Why did you create this company, HILOS'S?
Well, and I'll add a third into there. And thanks for having me. It's great to be here. The third is how we can bring manufacturing back to the U.S. and how we can have manufacturing as a force, not just for urban development or advanced manufacturing, but to your point, making an industry that's classically very wasteful, slow, and inefficient, really a beacon for how we can see climate manufacturing and sustainable manufacturing coming back to the U.S.
One aspect of this, I wanted you to talk about the turnaround time as to how long it takes when you get orders, how long it takes to produce that batch of shoes, because whenever we would talk with particularly the retailers, the resellers out there, they would always talk about how much inventory they had to keep in stock on a day-to-day basis, whether they were brick and mortar or whether they were online. Does this address that problem as well?
Absolutely. I mean, the very crux of the problem is we've got a market that is fast, it's creative, it's driven by trends, and we have a supply chain that is built for a mass market that's no longer there. It's slow, it's wasteful, and it depends on overproduction. So right now, footwear brands are designing for spring, summer of 26. That takes about 12 to 18 months to launch a new line into market. And because this uses injection molding and tooling, there's a high upfront cost that needs to be amortized across high volume. So we've got a supply chain that depends on high volume and waste at the end of the day, waste that you and I are paying for and that the planet is paying for. This is an industry that is the fourth largest polluter on the planet, accounting for 10% of carbon and a quarter of global chemical use.
Which is remarkable when you sit back and think about it, because the payoff, I guess, for consumers is that you can go into a store and say, I like that pair of sneakers, and be able to walk out of the store with it. With these 3D printed shoes, will consumers be able to do that, go into a store and say, I like that, but I want to change the color a little bit, and maybe I want a smaller heel, and can they walk out of the store with it?
So the focus for us with 3D printing, which is a powerful technology, 3D printing and generative design, allow for a speed and agility to take what's in your screen and bring it to the shelf. But we blend that with traditional methods of make so that you can have leathers and knits, you can have the variability of sandals, boots, sneakers, everything from luxury to technical, outdoor, and athletic. And you're able to make this faster turn. So 100 pairs into market, launched as quickly as 45 days. And you, the consumer, see the one striking focus you're going to see immediately different is everything's always in stock. You can have size runs that are much larger than normal. You can have more colorways. You can have trend designs that are on trend. Everything will be in stock because we're making locally without the traditional 6 to 9 months of manufacturing lead time. That model allows us to bring manufacturing back home.
Right.
Because traditionally, footwear is very labor intensive.
Yeah.
But by creating 3D printed modular methods of make that blend traditional shoemaking with a far more sustainable and lower labor form of assembly, we're able to have manufacturing cells in every major city. They're able to have high craft, high touch assembly for your favorite brands. So HILOS'S is really an end-to-end product creation platform, allowing the biggest brands and retailers as well as independents that don't normally have access to this technology to move supply chains overseas to their backyard.
So, Elias, let me ask you, which brands have you pitched? Which brands have been receptive to your pitch?
We're not able to disclose the brands that we're currently working with. What I am going to tell you is that in the next 18 months, you are going to see some of the leaders in fashion, in sports, in technical outdoor, and in retail, all launching significant lines with this technology. For us, this is a way for technology to elevate the craft and creativity of the industry and integrate in traditional supply chains by onshoring them.
I'm going to ask you, Elias, the Warren Buffett question, which is about your moat. What is the competition right now? And do you have enough proprietary technology where you can fend off any sort of imitators?
The biggest focus for us in our key moat is fundamental methods of make for manufacturing. So HILOS has patented new ways for shoes to come together that eliminate component parts and reduce labor. But then on top of that, when you create a completely new way of manufacturing that allows for speed and creative agility, but with new levels of comfort, design, and performance, you need the entire industry to be able to adopt that at the speed of digital. So the second layer to the HILO'S stack is a completely generative design software platform that allows a designer to upload a 2D image, sketch, or even prompt, and will generate a watertight 3D file that we can sample and then manufacture for them launching directly into market. This we unveiled just a few weeks ago at Milan Design Week, and the response was stunning. We had people saying you're taking an entire 150 years of supply chain and condensing it into 2 minutes of creative expression.
Elias, I see a bunch of sneakers behind you there. Is there anything that cannot be made through 3D machines? I mean, there's sneakers there, obviously, but leather shoes, heels, sandals, anything, everything?
So 3D printing has one large limitation, but it also is an incredible strength. You can 3D print only with a number of materials, and we were the first to really commercialize TPU, which is a thermoplastic polyurethane, so an advanced polymer, for end-use production for footwear. But you're able to design that material any way you want. So we take what is traditionally 65 components assembled in 350 steps, and we print 5 parts assembled in 12 steps. Not all of those parts are printed. We integrate traditional leather, but it's the ability to make without tooling, without having to amortize, and with the speed of digital.
Got it. Elias, really appreciate your joining us today. Elias Stahl is co-founder and CEO of HILO'S. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.